Hey guys, so I wanted to review for you a book that I most recently read called The Death Cure, and it's written by James Dashner. I'm going to show you what the cover looks like. This is what it looks like on my Kindle, and I wanted to review it for you because it's the last and final book of the Maze Runner trilogy, and if you are familiar with the Maze Runner trilogy, then you're already invested in these characters and you want to know what's happening with them. Do they get a cure? What's going on? So this review is going to answer all those questions without trying to spoil it too much. I can't not talk about the story because that's what a review is all about. So I'm going to do my best to respect your wishes to kind of find out what happens as you read it. But there are some things that I do want to talk about. The first thing is the world building. I think the world building is really excellent in this book. They kind of get outside of the bubble that is the maze or the Scorched Trials. Now they are in the western part of America, and you get more descriptions about what life is like outside of those controlled environments, or the environments that Wicked control. What do the cities look like? What do the people in the cities look like? How are the cities ran? What are the roles of the officials and things of that nature? Another thing I also liked about this book was that they answer a few more questions with a little more detail. As I was reading the book, probably up until I was like 95% done with the book, I felt like I didn't get any answers to any of my questions. I felt like they were giving bits and pieces and weren't really giving me enough of what I wanted. But when I finished the book and I thought about it and what the book is supposed to be, which is dystopian fiction, the opposite of a utopia, I felt the author stayed true to what he set out to do, which was to create this completely chaotic world based off of the fact that human beings created something that was dangerous. It was released, it got out of hand, and then people started to be adversely affected by it. So in that respect, I felt like questions were answered. Is there a cure? Yes. The book is called The Death Cure, so of course there's a cure, but I think that it's going to be a little different than what you would expect. It was certainly different from what I expected, and Thomas has some tough decisions to make in this book. That's another thing that I liked about it, because it wasn't a perfect fairy tale ending. There were still some things that he had to battle on his own. There's some characters from the first book that come back in this third book, and you get to kind of see the way the world feels, not the world, but the way this area, the city that he went to, the way they feel about Wicked, and you find out more information about specifically what they want the final candidate to do for Wicked so that they can get a cure, and that is going to blow you away. I was so livid when I found out what they wanted to do with the final candidate, and even now I still don't understand why they felt like they had to do that. Would I recommend this book to you? Of course I would. I wouldn't review it. Well, I would review a book that I thought sucked because I would want to warn you. But I think this is a really good book. I mean, it's really good character building, great imagery. There's lots of action scenes in the book, so I think that's interesting. You can see everything very vividly. It almost feels like you're watching a movie, even though you're reading it. I think that the author did a really good job building his characters' personalities and their character traits and how they react in different situations. I think was very on par with what you would expect for someone with those type of characteristics. I think out of 5 stars, I would definitely give it 4.5. It's very good, very interesting. If you are the type of reader that enjoys the New World aspect of literature, where everything's kind of like completely different except for the fact that the main characters are human beings, then I think you'll like this. This is as intriguing and engaging as Hunger Games and Divergent, if you've read Divergent by Rebecca Ross. Even like the Harry Potter books, just how everything is just so different, and it just kind of whisks you away. This book does the same thing, except I think for me there were moments in it that I was really pissed off at what was happening, because if you think about it, let's take HIV for example, AIDS for example. Let's say that by some happenstance this disease was genetically engineered and released into the world, and people start dying from it. Well, the difference between that and the flare is that the flare messes with the chemistry in people's brains and it makes them go crazy. And HIV doesn't mess with the chemistry in your brain, it messes with your immune system, which makes it, you basically don't have an immune system, so you can't fight off infections and diseases and stuff like that. So, and HIV is an epidemic, but the flare is a pandemic. So it's just this. It's similar, but it's more extreme because of the personality changes that people go through when they get the flare, and the fact that it basically impacted, well, the sun flares impacted the whole world, and in this specific disease, the flare impacted the people, not necessarily the vegetation or the environment or anything like that. So it's interesting to see what would happen if some biological weapon was used to harm individuals, what the world would be. So I thought it was interesting in that respect. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I want to tell you? I think you'll enjoy it, and you can read other reviews or you can look at other videos, but I don't want to give you too much information and spoil it for you because you want to read and find out new and interesting things. You don't want to know every single thing that happens in the book. The book is about 400 pages or so, and it only took me about 3 days to read it. I really wanted to know what happened to these kids and why they were sent to the Glade and what the death cure was going to be and how things were going to end up. And I'm satisfied with the ending. I wouldn't say that it was the perfect ending, but I think for the circumstance, it was justifiable. So I think you'll enjoy it. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you want to dialogue with me about the book, you can do that too. I am on goodreads.com. And I'm going to put the link below so that if you want to add me on Goodreads, if you have Goodreads, then please add me because I love to get book recommendations. So I will talk to you guys soon.